Welcome back to Bison Overtime. I'm Malik Mitchell.
And I'm Mentzel.
Thank you for tuning in. So we didn't shoot an episode for the last 2 weeks because of Thanksgiving break, and we were enjoying some grub with our families. But the week before that, that was his fault and Koi's fault, our tech guy. So
I needed to get done. Someone's got to put venison in the freezer.
Yeah, sorry we couldn't get you guys some content. But, 2 Saturdays ago, we got a big win against the University of South Dakota. For the Harvest Bowl, we won 52-24.
It was great to see the team end on, a hot streak like that, scoring 101 points in the last 2 games of the season. That's got to make a team feel good going into the postseason.
Yeah, it was good to, get another win, a big win against, like, a big difference between a pretty decent team, But it was also senior day, for NDSU, Matt Ince.
This is a senior team that's been through a lot. They've been through the highs of 2018, 2019 as coaching transition from Coach Kleiman to Coach Entz. So, this is a team that's been through a lot with NDSU.
Yep, so in the first quarter, Phoenix Sproles catching that pass and went for a 75-yard touchdown.
It was great to see Sproles finally get a big play like that. It's the first time we've seen it since 2019, and it's been a long time coming for him.
Yep. And how about Cam Miller? Came back in the last seconds of the quarter, scoring an 8-yard TD, just getting in there.
I mean, he's definitely had some good scrambling abilities. It showed all the year long, and it continues to show there.
And in the second quarter, Christian Watson just weaving through defenders, making it look easy for a 43-yard touchdown.
As soon as he gets outside the tackles, it's hard to stop him. As soon as he gets a full head of steam down the field, it's hard to catch up with the speed.
And in the third quarter, this is kind of funny. So USD scores a touchdown after Dawson Weber just trying to intercept the pass, but he just tipped it, and they just caught it and went in. And then Jalen Bussey squeezing through this hole, just accelerating into the end zone. That he's pretty fast. I'm glad, seeing more of him because it seems like less and less we see less of him,
We talked about that midseason. We really hadn't seen any of him, throughout a few games. We only saw him maybe in garbage time in the fourth quarter, and it was good to see him getting more time, and he's definitely been showing in these recent weeks his potential that he has.
So we had a total of 219 passing yards and 334 rushing yards. What were some individual stats of that game?
Jalen Bussey led the way for rushing, 5 rushes for 62 yards and a TD. Tamarick Williams also had himself a good day, 12 rushes for 60 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then Kobe Johnson rounded out the running backs with 13 rushes, 55 yards, and a touchdown. And then for receiving, Phoenix Sproles had 2 receptions for 87 yards and a touchdown. Christian Watson had 6 receptions for 61 yards. And then Braylon Henderson had 3 receptions for 30 yards.
And in defense, even though we had that funny, gave up that funny touchdown in the end, but our defense did pretty good. We had 2 sacks and 1 interception, with that corner making that good interception at the end of the game. What were some individual stats you got from that?
So individual stats, tackle leaders for the defense. Jackson Hankey led the way with 6 tackles, and then 3 players tied for second with 5 tackles. Jasir Cox, Michael Tutsi, and James Kaiser. Along with 2 sacks by the defense, those were combined by Braden Thomas, Tony Pierce, Jake Cava, and Lashaka Rokes.
Yeah, let's get into some team escalades before we get into, our next opponent. So tight ends Noah Gendorf and Josh Babbitt was invited to the NFLPA College Bowl, and 11 of NDSU players were invited to the MVC All-Conference team. The players made the team was Christian Watson, Hunter Lukey, Colder Bolson, Cody Mock, Brendan Thomas, and Michael Tutsi.
And then for the second team selections, tight end Josh Babbitt, linebackers Jackson Hankey and Jasir Cox, and return specialist Jaden Price.
And then for the MVC all newcomer team, quarterback Quincy Patterson, Tamarick Williams, and defensive end Lashaka Rokes made the team.
Yeah, and this has been a team that has been very good all year, shown a lot of different talent on both sides of the ball, so it's very good to see that it shows at the end of the year and that the committees have seen all these players and that they deserve these awards.
And then Matt Ince, he was named Coach of the Year, the Bruce Crowder Coach of the Year, for the Missouri Valley Conference.
Yeah, Coach Entz is a finalist for the 2021 Stats Reform FCS Eddie Robinson Award among 17 other coaches, and also other awards for the team real quick as well. Offensive lineman Cordell Volson and wide receiver Christian Watson have also been invited to the East-West Shrine Bowl as well.
Yep. So we are now 10-1. And we go against Southern Illinois after having a bye week this past week. Southern Illinois, they ended our 39, winning streak last season in the spring. You want some payback.
The Salukis have definitely been an interesting team to watch all season. They started out the year 6-1, including victories in Brookings against South Dakota State. But then it seemed like they kind of tapered off towards the end of the year. They lost 3 of their last 5 games, and they also towards the end of that 6-1 start, they had a close game against Western Illinois that took overtime to beat Western Illinois, which it's very confusing. So they seem like a team that can play very well in some games, but then kind of struggle in some other games.
And I know why they struggle. Their quarterback's pretty good. Nick Baker, he's averaging 252 passing yards a game, and they lost against Youngstown State. We're talking about a team that is 3-7,
and it was a 35-18 final as well. So
right,
it wasn't close.
Right, and he was hurt that game, so that's why they lost. And then you can back it up to Missouri State. He didn't play that game and they lost. So he's a big piece of that offense. Take him out of the game. That's a piece.
The key for Southern Illinois, it seems like their entire season has been their offense. A lot of their wins, they have scored 30 points, 40 points in a lot of their wins. And the thing is, in a lot of their losses, their defense has given up quite a bit of points. They've given up 40 points, 23 in one of their losses. And that even in some of their victories, the South Dakota State game, it was 42-41. So even then, it seems like the problem with their team is their defense being consistent and not giving up a lot of points.
Yeah. Like I said, like Nick Baker, if we can control him, the Salukis will fall.
Yeah.
They have some other pieces, but he's the prime objective on that offense.
It's a little scary considering our defense has kind of struggled against good passing quarterbacks, like a lot of them for the South Dakota State and the Youngstown State. Both of their quarterbacks really kind of torched our defense for most of that game in terms of passing. And this quarterback, he has averaged 258 yards of passing per game. And that is kind of scary considering some of the good defenses that you see in this conference.
Yeah, he's also a young quarterback. He's only like a sophomore, right? Yeah, so he's doing pretty good, and that's what in the press conference, Matt Entz, he was focused on mainly. I know he mentioned the running backs. They could get downhill on you, but it's mainly that quarterback piece. So I think it's going to be a good game. I'm predicting we still get a win, 24-14, but I think it's going to be a tough game for the Bison.
The first thing that many fans are going to remember before this game is the last game that we had. We were going into their stadium, a 39-game winning streak, and we just got absolutely smacked, 38-14. It wasn't even close. And Southern Illinois rode that to a pretty decent season. They ended up making it to the second round of the playoffs, ended up losing to South Dakota State. But they have shown in the last few years that this program is building, and they are a team to be reckoned with. This is no team to sleep on, especially, for us. We had a week off, and this is a conference opponent. We cannot sleep on these guys. It's going to be a very close game. I predict an offensive shootout because their defense has struggled a lot in big games, and their offense is a force to be reckoned with. So it's going to give our defense a hard time. I would hope that our defense can be up to the challenge, but we shall see. I predict that the Bison will win 38-35, and it's going to come down to whoever has the ball last.
Okay. I like the specific details in that, but is it going to be the ending to a good movie? We lost to them at their place, ending our streak. Do we come back and beat them at our home and in the playoffs too to get them out of there?
It would be the ultimate revenge story for us. It was definitely the thing that shook up our season last year. You could argue that while we still had a very good season last year, that loss kind of hit us and we never truly recovered from it. This year, we've had a very good season overall, even with one loss. We've seemed to have recovered from that loss now, and we are back to being ourselves. But the thing is, this contest, and I kind of like that we play them first, because you can't exactly play a very weak opponent in the first round of the playoffs, because that kind of messes with you going to the rest of the playoffs, because you dominate a not so good team in the first round of the playoffs, and you think, oh, well, we're a good team, we don't have to worry, and then you get upset by the team in the next round. Whereas Southern Illinois, they're a very, very forceful opponent, and this is a good test for us, and if you want to get to the championship, you're going to need to win games like this, and this is a good test for us.
It is, and I know the Bison, that cold green defense is going to play off the par because, like the game that they lost, in the press conference, they were like, yeah, we took it for granted. We know we can be beat now. So I know they got some vengeance coming for the Salukis, and I'm really hoping we beat them, to advance in the playoffs. But we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get into men's and women's basketball. Stay tuned.
There are so many great things to experience at NDSU. It's hard to pick one, but my favorite is
the people. They make it such a warm place. The Bison aren't just across the country, they're across the globe.
It's the perfect distance from home. The faculty are our biggest cheerleaders. Hands-on research experience. The affordable tuition.
All the opportunities to stay active on campus.
Real-world learning experiences.
once I got on campus, it felt like home.
The NDSU bookstore has everything you need to show off your Bison pride. The bookstore can have you sporting green and gold wherever you go. It offers many different brands, sizes, styles, and selection so that you find exactly what you're looking for. Shop the NDSU bookstore and show your spirit today.
No kid deserves to go hungry, but try as they might, not every family can afford to put food on the table every day. That's why the Great Plains Food Bank and their partner agencies work every day to bring food to our hungry neighbors. Every dollar donated can provide 4 meals for those in need. Go to greatplainsfoodbank.org and donate today so no kid in North Dakota ever has to go hungry.
There are so many great things to experience at NDSU. It's hard to pick one, but my favorite is
The people, they make it such a warm place. The Bison aren't just across the country, they're across the globe.
It's the perfect distance from home. The faculty are our biggest cheerleaders. Hands-on research experience. The affordable tuition.
All the opportunities to stay active on campus.
Real-world learning experiences.
Once I got on campus, it felt like home.
And we're back. Now we're going to get into men's basketball to start up with. So last Monday, the men's team played Charleston State at the Shield Center and won 54-53. It was a close game. You know, we're down literally the whole game, came back in the last seconds. You know, in the beginning, we just couldn't get a shot to drop. But then in the second half, Jarius Cook scored 17 points, hitting 5 threes. You know, you could just see he was feeling it. You know, he just couldn't miss.
After shot after shot after shot, he just kept making them, and you could see it in his eyes right there. He was excited. He was pumped.
Yep. You know, Willie Guy knocking his 3 down right here. Malik Hayes getting this crucial block. Here's another angle of it. You know, defense and threes helped us win that game at the end. Rocky
Cruiser also started to heat up. He knocked down 2 threes. He had 12 points with 8 rebounds and 2 assists as well.
And then on that Saturday, they played the University of Idaho and won 90-73. Now that game was kind of not a bit of a breeze, but you know it was a good game. I could truly say.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely one of our better games, you know, and we're still going through the ebbs and flows of a non-conference schedule. It's bound to happen, you know. The true test doesn't start for you until you hit conference play, but you know, it's good to see what our team can handle in the non-conference games.
Yeah, Rocky Cruiser had 21 points and 10 rebounds, and Grant Nelson had 18 points with 7 rebounds.
Tyree Eady also had 17 points with 10 rebounds, and Andrew Morgan had 13 points with 5 rebounds.
And then on Tuesday, they faced Creighton University in Omaha, Nebraska, and lost 80-55.
It was unfortunate. You know, Creighton seemed to have the upper hand on the Bison the entire game, especially in that first half. The Bison tried to make it a bit closer in the second half, but it was just never meant to be. Creighton's a very good team out of the Big East, and it's hard to beat some of those schools. We also lost Jarius Cook towards the end of the game when he took an elbow to the forehead and was bleeding above the eyes, so not sure how long he's going to be gone.
Yeah, it was a tough blow for him. Des McKinney had 13 points with 2 assists, and Rocky Cruiser had 12 points with 7 rebounds.
Malik Hayes had 10 points with 4 assists, and then Grant Nelson had 9 points with 5 rebounds.
Then yesterday they played Northland College, a D3 team. It looked like a high school team out there. I just knew it was going to be a massacre. It was at the Shield Center. We won 97-45. But I got to give them credit. You know, in the beginning, they kind of took it to us. We were all in the stadium. They were just surprised. They're like, "What's going on? Why are they playing like this?" You know. But I feel like it's because they had nothing to lose. Literally, they're not having the greatest time this season. I think they have a losing record so far, but it was a pretty cool game. But in which Jarius Cook, like you said, was ruled out because of that concussion, and that could probably lead to future problems because we don't have Sen Griesel, and now we don't have Jarius Cook. So how do you think that's going to play out in future games?
Thankfully, right now, though, like I was saying, if you're gonna get banged up in non-conference play. Thankfully, you know, you got time to rest the guys up before you get to conference play when it starts to truly matter for your season. Not to say that these games don't matter, but you know, when you're coming down to conference championship or conference seeding at the end of the season. But you know, this was a very good game overall for us. I mean, when's the last time you saw an utter domination like this? I know it's a D3 college, but still, you know, it was a very good game overall, and it was good to see even without some of our best players, us being able to step up and win this game handily.
Yeah, but this is a first game since 2017 scoring over 100 points. So I know those boys were, hyped up. But nevertheless, a freshman made his name known that night. Andrew Morgan scoring 24 points and 9 rebounds and 2 blocks. he just was feeling it that night, and they were all on the bench just hyping him up because they couldn't believe it. It was a spin move here in the post.
It's nice to see a new face at that position, especially with Rocky Cruiser being a senior. He ain't going to be here much longer. It's good to see that somebody's already there to step into his big shoes next season.
Yep. I mean, he's only a freshman, so it's good that that's good that Rocky came back, because now guys under him could really learn what it is to be a leader. Get those 2 points, because and he'll definitely learn from with that injury with Jarius Cook, because now the leadership definitely has to come out, because even though Rocky's good, he can't lead that team just by himself.
Yeah, and I also want to mention something too. During the Creighton game, some of the announcers were mentioning that the Bison have a lot to look forward to this year, and this is a team that can definitely contend in their conference to go back into March. And, that's very, very nice of them to say, considering, we have a lot of good teams in the conference this year, no doubt. You got both South Dakota and South Dakota State. They're bringing back a lot of players this year. They're going to be very tough, and Oral Roberts, even though they lost a couple of players, I'm sure they'll still be around as well. So it's very good to see that we are a heavy contender for our conference this season. Yep.
So they are now 5-3. Their next game is against Montana State in Bozeman, Montana, at 8 p.m. And Montana is 4-4 so far this season. They played notable teams like Colorado University, SDSU. They have a guard named Xavier Bishop and a forward named Jabril Bello. He's averaging 15 points a game. So, I think that combo piece is going to be a problem for us.
Montana State's been a pretty good team this year. A lot of their losses have been very close, so it's not going to exactly be an easy game for us, not like Northland College. But, seeing what our team can do against tougher teams when we're down, when we're undermanned, it's going to be a very good test for us.
Yep. Switching to women's basketball, 2 Wednesdays ago, they played Northern Iowa at the Shield Center and lost 76-63. Just unfortunate.
Yeah, and the girls have been playing very close in a lot of their games this season. They've been playing very tough, very competitively. It just doesn't seem like they have that extra oomph to get over some of those teams and some of these losses.
And then that Saturday, they played University of Montana at home again, and unfortunately lost 65-63.
Now that one was very close. It was very back and forth the entire game, and it just couldn't come through at the end.
Yeah, we're down by 1 point, off an inbound play that was like literally designed beautifully. We got it, and then, just at the end, they came back in the last seconds and stormed the court. It was just pretty bad. It was just a sad energy that, they really tried. You can tell the girls really tried, to get back and get that win, and it just didn't go their way.
It's a deflating loss, but these are the kind of losses that can make your team stronger throughout the year. It's the question of how can you rebound after a tough loss, and can your team do it? It really helps to answer that question when you have games like this. So in that kind of sense, these kind of losses aren't all bad in that sense, especially considering, once again, it's non-conference. You got time to fix it. So it really will help to beg the question, can this team recover from a tough loss?
And then this Monday, they traveled to Manhattan, Kansas, and played Kansas State and lost 78-57. It was just a bad game, with Heaven Hamling had 14 points with 6 rebounds and 2 assists. Ryan Cobbins had 11 points with 7 rebounds,
Yeah, Katie Deaton also had 10 points with 6 rebounds, and Emmy Banky also had 9 points for 6 rebounds as well.
So they're now 2-4. Their next game is on Saturday at 7 p.m. against Bradley University at the Shield Center, so be sure to tune in. I'm predicting we get that victory. Bradley University is not really a good team, so I think we'll get that victory. What do you think? Think it's going to be a close game since we're struggling to get, those high wins?
Yeah, I predict a victory as well. I mean, and like I said, a lot of the losses this year, they've been playing very close, very competitively in a lot of these games, and they've never seemed to have been completely out of it. It's not like they just lay down and give up in a lot of these games. Even when they're losing by a good amount, they still fight, they still claw their way to get closer. So they've been playing very well this entire season, and I predict a victory for them as well.
Yeah, I was talking to some people too, and it just feels like it's the same story as last season. Their play is kind of the same thing. They didn't really improve from last season. How do you feel about that?
It's still a little early to say that yet, especially when you're in non-conference. You have different opponents. You don't know how we're going to fare against them. It's a wide variety. So you can't exactly say that it's going to be the same as last year yet until we hit conference play. But there's definitely been a lot of positives so far this year. They've been playing very close, and like I said, they've been playing competitively. And in some of their wins, you have seen a lot of the star talent that we have with Heaven Hanley and Ryan Dobbins and a lot of those other players as well.
Yep. So hopefully they win that game. So when we come back, we're going to get into the ending of volleyball, wrestling, and the start of track and field. Stay tuned.
Founded in 1985, the Missouri Valley Football Conference has established a tradition of FCS football excellence. Competing at the highest level of NCAA Division I, student athletes at its 10 institutions demonstrate character, passion, and integrity as they grow as a student, an athlete, and a citizen. The Missouri Valley Football Conference, where leaders are shaped and champions are forged.
No kid deserves to go hungry, but try as they might, not every family can afford to put food on the table every day. That's why the Great Plains Food Bank and their partner agencies work every day to bring food to our hungry neighbors. Every dollar donated can provide 4 meals for those in need. Go to greatplainsfoodbank.org and donate today so no kid in North Dakota ever has to go hungry.
And we're back. So we have a couple sports to cover. We're going to start off with volleyball. So 2 Thursdays ago, they played SDSU and lost 3-1. It was just unfortunate. You know, we knew it was going to be a tough team, though.
They kept it close, though. That first match, they lost 26-24. So, I mean, it was a very close matchup. And SDSU is a very good volleyball team, so it was good to see them fight hard against that team.
Yep. In the first set, we won 26-24. In the second set, we won 25-21. And the third set, we won 25-19. And then in the fourth, they won 25-19.
Yeah, so some of the individual stats, Allie Hinsey had 15 kills, Sierra Tanchin had 13, and then Michelle Glover had 10 in that game.
And then on Saturday, we played the University of South Dakota and lost 3-2. Not bad, you know, it was a close game.
It's kind of the same story, different game. You know what? South Dakota, another very good volleyball team, and, you know, a very competitive match once again. Very close. It kept it close, but just unfortunately, in that fifth set, just wasn't meant to be.
Yep. And I was literally watching that game before the football game. It was they were in their fifth set. You know, me and a buddy of mine named Cole. You know, we're like, they got to get it because they were both playing University of South Dakota that day, and when they hit that 18-16, it just broke our hearts, man.
Yeah, very, especially considering it's the last game of the year, very rough way to end the season when it's so close but just so far.
Yep. So in the first set, they led 25-16, and the second set, we led 25-23, and in the third set, they led 25-18, and then in the fourth, we took the fourth with 25-15, and then they ended the game with 18-16.
Very back and forth. Like every other set, it was like, you know, this team's got it. Nope, this team has the momentum. This team has the momentum. This team has the momentum. It was just very back and forth, and it just depended on who had that momentum in the last set, and it looked like both teams were tugging and pulling at that momentum, but just at the very end, they put the dagger right in the hearts, unfortunately, with that 18-16 final.
Yeah, if any team wanted to go out, I know that's the way I want to go out. I wouldn't want to go out with a sweep or anything like that.
They went out fighting, that's for darn sure. Some of the individual stats to end the season there, in that last game. Sierra Tanchin had 17 kills, Allie Hinsey had 15, and Alexis Bowling had 9.
Yep. So that was the last game of their season. You know, they had a record of 6-12 in the Summer League Conference. Not what they wanted. Obviously, you want to go to the chip, but how do you feel this season performance, you know, that they did?
It was a very up and down season. There were some, especially early in the season, they had the series against Cal and Butler and some of those schools where they dominated, and then there were some other ones where it seemed like the team, unfortunately, couldn't gel together, unfortunately, and that was kind of the key to the season. It was a little bit of inconsistency, unfortunately. This team looked like, in some games, it had the talent to be up there with Denver and some of those other schools up at the top of the conference, but then there were just some other games where it all just didn't come together, and unfortunately, at the end of the season, that's what undid their chances for the playoffs.
Yep, switching gears to wrestling, 2 Saturdays ago, they had a meet, the Daktronics meet in Brookings, South Dakota, and we did pretty good. You know, Michael Calinio went 4-0, placing first place, and then Gabriel Scoom went 4-2, placing fourth place.
Well, also Caliendo, he's only a freshman, had 165 pounds, won all of his games 8-4, 3-1, 8-6, 5-2. pretty dominating victories in every single one of them. So
Yep.
once again, it seems like a broken record with every sport this year. It's freshmen seeming to come out of nowhere and just come onto the scene and play well for all of us.
Yep. And then Riley Habish and DJ Parker placed 4th place. So overall, they didn't do that bad.
Yeah, Austin Brenner also had a 6th place. Spencer Mooberry also had a 6th place, and Cole Gripka had a 6th place as well. So a lot of up there players, and they all did very well as a team collectively.
Yep, so their next match is tomorrow against Augustana in Sioux Falls, South Dakota at 1 p.m. So, hopefully they can get, some other first place, wins.
Yeah, this should be able to be a victory for them as a team collectively. I would think they've all had very well individual performances this year, back to the Bison tournament here in Fargo as well. So I believe against Augustana they should be able to get at least a few individual champions, if not more than 4 or 5.
Yep. Switching gears to track and field, the men's and women's track kicks off their season tomorrow. For the Shelley Eag at the Shelley E-League facility. The first meet starts at 11:30, and hopefully, last season, it seemed like they were breaking records each meet. Almost every meet they broke some kind of school record. So you think they're going to keep the ball rolling this season?
They should be able to. With some of those players returning back this year, they should be able to pick up where they left off. It might be, and you never know at the beginning of the season how well the team has practiced in the off season. So there could be some sloppiness there, but we won't know until we see them play.
Yep. We got to switch gears back to football because we're in the playoffs. People are saying, we're going to go against Sam Houston in the championship.
Yeah, and that could be an early prediction to make, but you have to remember there are so many other good teams in this playoff bracket right now, and some of them aren't even seeded in the top 8. You got teams like Eastern Washington, South Dakota State, teams that aren't even in the top 8 in terms of seeds that have been playing very well all season and could be key contenders this year. And, there's only 3 teams left in the Missouri Valley Conference, and we started out with 5. Missouri State and South Dakota got eliminated last week, but you still have North Dakota State, Southern Illinois, and you have South Dakota State. So there's a good chance that one team from our conference could get back to the championship. And, you can't forget about teams like James Madison or Montana or Montana State or Sam Houston.
You got Montana State, Montana and Eastern Washington playing today, actually, at 8 p.m.
Yes, in my opinion, that's going to be probably the game of the week right there, especially with considering that Eastern Washington's quarterback, he's probably the front runner for the Walter Payton Award this year. He's been playing very well in his entire career, and I see a chance for him playing Sunday football next year. And their matchup earlier this year, Eastern Washington won 35-28, so it was a very close game between them earlier this year, and I predict it'll be another one. This time it's in Montana, however, so they may be looking for revenge this time around.
Yeah, and the Bison, in the press conference, it seems like they're just taking one game at a time. They're not. They have that goal of winning the championship, but they're not even in sight. They're worrying about their next game. They're not worried about the championship right now or the other teams in there.
Yeah, you can't look too far ahead, especially in these playoffs. Any team can beat you on a given week. Some of the teams that we haven't even talked about, like maybe a Holy Cross or Villanova, they could beat a team on any given week. You can't think about like your next opponent. And granted, I've been guilty of thinking about that too, but thankfully I'm not on the team, so I hope they're not thinking the same way I've been thinking sometimes. But hopefully with this weekend, Southern Illinois, they take them seriously, they compete hard against them, and hopefully they can get that victory. So,
this may change, next show, but who do you think is going to be in that championship game?
It's really hard to predict right now, especially considering there are very heavy contenders on both sides, but I think it could be North Dakota State or James Madison against probably either South Dakota State or Sam Houston State.
All right, we got to tune into that game. But thank you for tuning in to another episode of Bison Overtime. Be sure to catch us next Friday at 11:30 p.m. Go Bison.